Songs for a New World is the second show that I've seen after lockdown. But I still think it's an important one to look at when we're talking about lockdown restrictions and how theatres adjust to this weird period that we found ourselves in. Because this is the first musical to open in the West End, if we don't count the other thing that Lloyd Webber did as like a test. And while Troubadour Wembley had a lot of space, front of house and backstage to socially distance everything and still have people come in and stay in a foyer, a West End theatre is not known for being overly spacious front of house. But Lloyd Webber and the producers and the people who run this theatre clearly thought through every little detail of reopening, with this special concert version of Jason Robert Brown's famous Song Cycle musical. No, not that one, this one. I'm so happy that this show is allowed to go ahead because it was absolutely glorious to witness. Dare I say, it was one of the best concert shows I have ever seen. But I think we should start with a rundown of the experience. Once I got to London, there was a absolutely gigantic queue. And when I say gigantic, I took a walk round. I didn't manage to get any footage of this. I managed to get a little tiny bit. The queue to get into like the stalls and the dress circle went all the way round the block. It was a massive queue. I would say it was kind of similar in places to my experience going to see Sleepless, but then there was a lot of slight different changes. I mean, for one, as I said, there isn't much space front of house. So, especially because I was sat in the Grand Circle, I went through the theatre and I didn't wait in any foyer. I went straight through, up a bunch of stairs, straight into the auditorium. I don't know if this experience was the same for people sitting in other tiers. If you were at the show, either in the matinee or the evening, please tell me if you managed to wait in a foyer or if you went straight into the auditorium in the comments down below. There was no like merch kiosk or place to buy this. What they decided to do instead, and this is probably my one criticism of this, is that while there were loads of ushers walking around with bar menus, there was one person selling the programmes. And he looked like he was not having a fun time. He was running here, there, everywhere, trying to sell his little programmes, which were a massive rip-off. This was so expensive. I'm not even going to tell you the price because I am ashamed of how much I spent on this programme.
How much was it, Daniel?
£15. The curtain was coming up as I bought it. I didn't get to see the price. If I known the price, I wouldn't have bothered because this is not even worth £5. But there was very thorough temperature checks and bag checks. What was really cool, actually, is that instead of the little temperature guns, they had a temperature like camera. They had a full setup. This was a West End show, and you could tell. A lot of extra measures, like leaving measures and as such, were explained before the show. And the seating was thoroughly social distance as well. I do think it's important to clarify here that after seeing some arguments on Twitter last night, that not everyone was happy to the level of social distance that was maintained in the theatre auditorium. The problem came from the fact that while I was sitting in the Grand Circle and up there, the theatre was properly social distanced with rows clearly taken out, very clearly marked. This wasn't the case in the stalls. So if you were there and if you were upset or okay with the social distance in the stalls, please let me know in the comments down below, because theatre as a business, we need to make it feel safe now more than ever. But I was ready to witness Songs for a New World, and honestly, so was the audience. Before the show, we were cheering. We were interrupting the guy as he was trying to do his message. It was mad. Like, I have never been in a room where the energy was as electric. I think the only other experience that has felt the same was seeing Heathers. Song cycle shows are almost made for this kind of weird time that we found ourselves in. But I think there is just something about Songs for a New World. I mean, just from those opening lyrics, a new world calls across the ocean, a new world crawls across the sky. We ourselves have kind of found ourselves in a new world where we're having to adjust to these weird differences and trying to help each other out and keep each other safe. And the show knows this, and the show uses this from its very opening moments. From the beginning of the show, a ghost light was placed in the middle of the stage. If you don't know what ghost light is, these are like a little light on a tripod, and they're placed in the middle of a stage when a stage is dark. So after a show, once everyone's gone home, they'll leave a ghost light in the middle. It's like a rumour that they're there to ward off evil spirits, but the more reasonable explanation is that they're there for when the people come in the next day, so they're not just walking into a completely dark room. At the start of lockdown, these ghost lights almost became a symbol, like, we will be back, don't worry, the light is still on. And incorporating this into the show, having them go up to this ghost light at the beginning and sing it to the ghost light, it was really effective. Because we've missed it. We have missed it. And we're finally getting it back. Being in that theatre was so fun. They could have put on Mamma Mia and I'd be like, yep, I'm fine, I'm seeing it. Despite this being a concert, they did not skimp out on this staging. There was a lot of great directions and fun moments, and there was a lot of use of props and little set pieces. The most memorable one being a stepladder, which was used in Rachel Tucker's song. You know what? Rachel Tucker ended up having a lot of props in her things. I feel very bad for her. But then they'd also used environmental things like cases for seats, which also worked for great effect, making this concert feel a little bit more theatrical. They definitely could have just, done a typical concert, had a mic stand at the front, but no, they went all out, and I really do appreciate that. I have to talk about these performers and their vocals, because I don't think I have ever heard riffs as powerful, songs as moving, just performances as great as these. Before lockdown, there was a thing that went round saying, just imagine how great performers are going to sound as soon as we get back onto stages. And that statement is 100% true now that we're there. But let me just talk about this amazing cast. Cedric Neal is just so fantastic. He was riffing to high heaven. His best moment was his opening solo number. The name of the song will appear at the bottom of the screen. Because research, what's that? Who knows? I've already mentioned Rachel Tucker, and I have an obsession with Come From Away, so therefore I have an obsession with her, and she delivers. She's so funny. She gets a lot of the wittier numbers and the more character style numbers, and she is electric on stage. It's so fun to watch her. Rachel John had a lot more of the slower numbers, but oh my god, what power, what presence she had. And also David Hunter was there. I don't need to sing David Hunter's praises. That man is literally my favourite in the world. I love David Hunter. I absolutely love David Hunter. David Hunter could sing the phone book and somehow make it feel quirky and fun. He just has that natural energy about him. Like, whenever he's enjoying something, you enjoy it as well. And finally, the man we don't know, but we will soon. That's not the quote. I didn't even write down his name properly. Oh my god.
Omar James. Yeah.
Shame Omari James is absolutely fantastic, and I'm very sorry I had to read the programme to remember your name. I am so sorry. Honestly, I cannot wait to get to know him. He's so fantastic. He gets like one solo number in the show, which is an absolute travesty. He's quite fun-loving. He was out there. He's a bit of a queer icon, actually, with his high-heeled boots. I was like, yes, you could play Jamie. Oh my god, I would go see him as Jamie. Can he be cast as Jamie, now, please? Surprisingly, my biggest praise of the show is its lighting. There was about, 5 quite warm lights at the back, shining down. They were facing the audience, but shining down onto the actors. And then they used spotlights, and at the start of the show, there's a door at the back of the stage, which opened, and light shone out. And of course, I've mentioned the ghost light. And they kind of used these, they kind of filled out the stage, which was quite empty, but they really used the lighting to fill out the stage in its entirety. It was really powerful. Lighting something that usually in a show you don't really notice. It's like editing. Good editing, you don't notice it unless it's meant to be noticed. I mean, what would I know about bad editing? I don't know anything about bad editing. I'm really good at editing. Honestly, I don't have any negatives for this show. As a concert goes, this is pretty much as good as you can get. I mean, this is what you want from a concert. Not overly staged, but there's enough there to, keep you interested and intrigued. Amazing singing, really performing those notes and acting it through. I can safely say my verdict is that it gets 5 stars. And this is a sentiment that I'm pretty sure the audience agreed with because of how strong the bows were. When we wouldn't stop cheering and clapping so that they had to come out and bow again, which they definitely weren't prepared for, as you can see in this clip right here. Honestly, it was so powerful in that room. And thank you to all the producers who made this happen and all the risks that were taken because it was so worth it. I am so happy to be able to say that I've seen this show. I would say book your ticket to see Songs for a New World, but you can't, so you missed out. But theatre is subjective. Did you manage to see this show? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think the programmes are way too overpriced? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I am so close to 250. By the time this video goes up, I might even have 250 subs. So if I do have 250 subs, thank you. I will continue making that good content. Bye. Subscribe.